Imagine trying to find that missing firefighter with limited visibility, all while wearing this gear weighing anywhere from 50 to 80 pounds. I have some good news for those of you who are maybe working from home but need to leave the house a little bit later. I'm very excited about this because we're used to Wyoming winters and having that sheet of ice on our windshields when we get out and it's snowing. Well, guess what? That's gone today. That is not here. All of this ice is melting on your windshield. Tiffany, it's been about a month and a half since I was out here telling you that the top 50 bulldoggers and tie-down ropers were saying they wouldn't compete at CFD because of those format changes. Well, Eli Lord won the steer wrestling this year, and he just so happens to be one of the few in the top 50 that actually decided to enter. And the state forester told me today that he thinks that there are some reasons behind why we're seeing these fires burning so intensely. Now, he says one of those reasons is forest management practices over the years. Another thing that he says is climate change. I mean, drought conditions in Wyoming, he says, account for some of the reasons why these fires are burning intensely. And then the final thing that he said is the fact that people are moving into some of these rural areas. He said that's something that you have to account for too. It's not just a simple answer to what's causing these fires. Aaron and Tiffany, I'm inside the Friday Food Bag Foundation. As you mentioned, it's cold outside, but it's warm in here. The heater's on and there are plenty of people hard at work. You know, I'm going to step outside so you can get a look at what's going on here. When we first arrived just before 5 tonight, that top shelf was completely empty. Larimer County Sheriff's Office lifted some evacuation orders caused by the Cameron Peak fire. The reported size of the fire is now over 102,000 acres, still with an estimated containment of 4%. And what does this news mean for the Mountain West Conference and the Wyoming Cowboys? Well, the Mountain West Commissioner, Craig Thompson, issued a statement yesterday. He says multiple subgroups within the conference are working daily on solutions to the existing challenges in order to facilitate a return to play for Mountain West football. The Mountain West Conference says it's working to come up with a plan for sports to start back up again. A month after the conference announced it'd be postponing fall sports, the conference says there are still some of the same challenges because of the coronavirus pandemic. As you can see behind me, Big Boy 4014 is indeed back in the capital city. You can see I have my hair a little different today in this hairnet. That's because we're in the kitchen at F.E. Warren Air Force Base for an Iron Chef competition. I'm going to step over so you can see some of the teams passing through, hard at work right now. And he mentioned that for the first time, LCFD1 actually has an operating budget of over $1 million a year, but he attributes a lot of that to the growth of the South Cheyenne area. Now, Cheyenne PD also said that there was a suspect at large. Again, that was about a half hour ago. They were asking neighbors and people living in this area to stay inside. We don't know if that's changed yet. Well, officers are still investigating the student who made these threats, but police say he is cooperating with law enforcement. Well, folks, maybe you've had your boots for years and they're already broken in, or you've taken the time to have your hat fitted so it sits just right, but maybe you're like me and you found these tips helpful because you got your hat from someone else in their campus. I mean, it's only 6:30 a.m., but there's not too many people out here, and if you are going to be on LCCC's campus this fall, you do need to wear a face covering when you're on their property. That's why I have mine on this morning. Over 1,000 projects are underway here during this turnaround at Holly Frontier. Now, this tower here is one of them. It's reached the end of its life, and workers are in the process of installing a new one in its place. The ceremony will be held privately this year because of public health guidelines related to the coronavirus. And again, today is Patriot Day. It's a day that we remember those who died in the September 11th terrorist attacks. And the Capitol was reopened in July, and something that I heard quite a bit going into the budget session back in February and March was that this is the people's house. That's something Speaker of the House Steve Harshman has said repeatedly, and that's one thing that's missing here today. The general public is not allowed in the Capitol building today for this special session. It's taking place virtually.
This is a pork and leek.
Destination Taiwan's owner Yu says the story of the restaurant goes back to 2014 when he and Rachel, the executive chef, first became friends. She's from Taipei, Taiwan.
So I thought, wow, I never had such a wonderful, food, to me. I said, why not open a business?
Yu says he doesn't treat it as a regular small business. Instead, he says it's like an art project.
I see it like a window that shows the people, the good things about Taiwan.
He says he's bringing some diversity to the food offered in Cheyenne while highlighting the food, people, and culture of Taiwan. What's the fun side of it?
I would say actually the most part I really enjoy doing the business is meeting lots of wonderful people, and when we see the people very happy with our food and we're happy too. This is the most fun part.
Jessen is a firefighter in Cheyenne. He's known Yua for a while, and he says Destination Taiwan provides a taste of home.
It's probably one of the best kept secrets in town.
There you go. You got a very cute film right here. This is a small business, and we get a chance to know lots of good people, amazing people here in Wyoming. That's a great thing. Perfect.
For Wyoming News Now, I'm Grace Foulk.
So at this time, we have forwarded on charging documents to the district attorney's office recommending charges, and basically the case is now at the DA's office.
The sworn statements given by officers outline how a member of the Catholic clergy and a person seeking membership of the Catholic clergy sexually abused young men. The Cheyenne Police Department spent the past year and a half investigating allegations. Names of the suspects are not being released yet to protect the identities of the victims in the case. The alleged crimes were committed in the 70s and 80s, but because Wyoming does not have a statute of limitations, the crimes can still be prosecuted.
People in today's climate look around and see that there is a lot more credence on a victim's statements. We're in the era of the Me Too movements and those kinds of things.
Cheyenne police say the case stems from an investigation that began in 2002. After further investigation, they found other victims and offenders.
It's one of the things that when we put out this appeal for witnesses or statements last fall, we wanted to make abundantly clear is if you felt you weren't being believed in the past, if you felt that you were reporting this and maybe you were reporting it to law enforcement or whoever the official may have been, but you felt like you weren't really being believed, well, we do believe you.
Aaron, Tiffany, I spoke with Colt Brugman, whose family has had a long history with CFD. He says his father, grandfather, and cousin are all in the Hall of Fame. He is now the steer roping representative for the Mountain State Circuit. He weighed in on why the top 50 steer wrestlers and calf ropers are saying they won't compete in Cheyenne this year. Chad Matthews, the Cheyenne Frontier Days Rodeo Committee chairman, says CFD is changing the format of the timed events to a tournament style. He says this is because most people coming to the rodeo are novice fans.
We had an opportunity to make the rodeo more understandable for them. Everybody understands the tournament. You win, you move on.
The change is supposed to make things more understandable, but Colt Brugman, a representative for the Mountain State Circuit, says the new format makes it difficult for participants to go to other rodeos. And when it comes to the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, the PRCA, Brugman says these changes often come without an explanation.
And then when we complain and ask them questions, they say, talk to your event representative. Well, I am the event representative. These guys are cowboys that run the PRCA. They're supposed to be looking out for our best interest, but they don't communicate.
Brugman thinks lack of communication from the PRCA is what's leading to the top 50 calf ropers and steer wrestlers to boycott CFD. When it comes to the changes, Cheyenne Frontier Days says it went through the lines of communication available as a rodeo committee, including going through the PRCA for approval.
And we really have nothing more that we can really do from that.
Matthews says he doesn't think that missing the top 50 competitors will affect Frontier Days for the fans at all. Now, CFD says it's too early to say what specific numbers are for steer wrestling and the tie-down events, but the PRCA did say entries are down considerably in some of those events after entry closed, adding the Cowboys have been heard through their actions, and the PRCA will consider what its options are moving forward. Reporting live for Wyoming News Now, I'm Grace Foulk. Statewide orders extending closures across Wyoming, hoping to reduce the spread of COVID-19.
With the COVID-19,
There, the big question is uncertainty, not just for the state, but for the United States and also the rest of the world. How long does this last?
Effects of the closures spreading from schools to businesses to organizations.
Yeah, so we wanted to kind of pick up where we heard there's some slack in the community.
Another thing catching on in the community, creativity.
Our mission remains the same, right? We still are meeting human need in His name without discrimination and preaching the gospel. It just looks a little bit different, just like it does for everybody right now.
I think that when we have this time, it might be good to do some introspection and to try and help out other people in the community. That's the only way we can get through this together.
From mask-making seamstresses to the Salvation Army, people continuing finding ways to give.
We wanted to start delivering lunches. We're also doing pantry bag delivery.
What do you think about the community and being in Cheyenne during the pandemic?
This is an amazing community, and they're so supportive, at all times. But I think, especially during, really crisis time.
A community continuing to spread support in a time of uncertainty.